Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Autoweek and eBay Motors Garage, where we walk you through DIY projects on your cars and trucks with the editors of Autoweek. We're here today, we're going to do a little bit more of a performance-oriented upgrade today. We're going to be replacing the intake manifold and carburetor on a 1988 Jeep Grand Wagoneer, owned by Graham.
Yeah, so I've had this Jeep for about 10 years now. I wanted to replace this stock Motorcraft 2150 carburetor with a bit of an upgrade part. But the problem is, it won't fit on the stock 2-barrel intake.
Obviously, yeah, if you've got 4 barrels for air and fuel to go into, squeezing into here isn't going to happen.
What seemed like a really simple, just swap the carburetor, became a swap the intake and then swap the carburetor. So, because I've bought stock parts for my Wagoneer off of eBay Motors before, it was already stored in the eBay Motors My Garage feature. So when I searched for an intake, it pulled up this one, the Edelbrock 2131, because it's a direct fit for the AMC 360 V8 that's already in the car. And then based on the Edelbrock documentation, I was able to figure out what else I needed. So in addition to this and this, I also ordered a throttle adapter plate, a square bore adapter, and the only direct OEM replacement part we'll be using today, aside from little things like grommets and stuff like that, is this, the stamped metal valley pan gasket.
Before we get under the hood, we want to do as much work on the bench here as possible.
It'll be a lot easier to put grommets in place, make sure we have all the fittings for these little vacuum outlets that we have. So we'll try to fit as much of it on the bench as possible.
All right, so let's start stripping stuff off of the old one and putting it on the new one, and we'll go from there.
All right.
And hitting it with the wood. We're just going to get this on there and then we can flip it back over.
Do you have that part coming over here? All right, so we've transferred as much as we could off of the old intake onto this new one. I'm gonna get ready to be put in the engine bay. We're gonna take the hood off just to make it a little easier for you to see what we're doing.
All right, Graham, what's the first step?
So yeah, as you can see, we've gutted everything. We've got this valley pan here. We're gonna spray some copper gasket, spray a gasket on it, let it tack up, and then drop this into place.
Okay, we've got our gaskets on. These are the materials that seal the new intake to the cylinder head so that there's no air leaks or coolant leaks. Now we're ready to put on the new manifold.
Yep.
So, all right, I'll bring it over.
So, when I was taking the old one out, it was quite a workout. We had the hood on, and it weighed, I don't know, 45, 50 pounds probably.
Right.
Looks good.
Okay.
So let's start dropping.
Let's pop some bolts in here.
Is it going in?
Yeah, this one's going in. Like I said, the intake manifold's on. This is the part that distributes the fuel and air from the carburetor into the individual cylinders. So carburetor's next. We'll start with gasket.
This is the adapter kit that we needed to order as per the Edelbrock instructions.
It comes with a spacer, and then another gasket, and you just sort of sandwich that spacer between them. All right, and the carburetor sets right on top of there.
All right, that's it, we're done.
And then, and then it's just a matter of connecting up the fuel lines, the choke, and then the throttle linkage. So we're gonna get a couple of hoses connected here, and then we can handle that and get this thing started up.
And I'm gonna start bolting it down. But yeah, right now, basically, I'm installing the adapter plate that lets me use the throttle linkages that were factory for the car with this new carburetor. So just a little piece of metal.
Yep, I'm installing, kind of buttoning up things like the cooling system, getting the new upper radiator hose on. Yeah, Alpha uses these really nice hose clamps that are kind of like the fuel injection. Double band that tightens on itself.
So before we fire this thing up, we're gonna top off the coolant because we had to drain a whole bunch of it in order to remove the intake and reinstall it. Then I'm gonna top up the oil. It was pretty low before we brought in here. Test fire it, get it going. Right now I'm installing all the hardware that the throttle linkages are attached to. And this is where that adapter plate that I showed you guys in the introduction comes in handy. Once we get that in place, everything should be functional. There we go.
Right now what we want to do is try to get the car started, make sure that we've got everything sealed up and that we haven't missed any major parts. All this stuff is going to have to be tweaked slightly. Get a screwdriver in there once the car's warmed up. But right now we can see if it's going to start, and then we can check for leaks, and then we can let it warm up and we can get back to tuning the carburetor. Got a running 4-barrel equipped 1988 Jeep Grand Wagoneer. So Graham, now that we've gone through the whole process, you know, tell me what you were thinking before you started and how you feel about it now.
I think the key was to just follow it step by step, having as many parts on hand as we could. The Edelbrock manual, you know, with the carb setup and tuning tips is a huge help. I don't know, it just made the whole reassembly that much easier.
Yeah, it really did go smoothly considering the scope of the work we were doing. So I think you'll really enjoy it. I'm looking forward to getting it out on the road.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, let's take it for a drive.
Cool.